Absolutely phenomenal championship standings right now. 2 points separate P1 through P3, 336, 335, 334. David, Daniel, and Josh all hauling for points right now. Then Andreas, Ali, Timothy, Vicente, Ahmad, Sean, Lee, Ray, Mark, Hayden, Jacob, Andrew, Ryan, Dylan, Tim G, Bradley, Robert, Mike, Brian, Frankie, and Ethan. Some fan favorites, of course, and some new names like you just said, Jackson. Mid-Ohio it is. Absolutely true. One of the oldest racing circuits in North America as well. Founded in 1962, we're headed to Lexington, Ohio of the US of A. Opened in 1962. It's hosted everything from Can-Am, IndyCar to IMSA and SCCA runoffs. It's part of the classic American Road Course Trio along with Road America and Watkins Glen. Absolutely spicy. This is a driver circuit for sure. The track is tight, technical, and twisty with many blind corners and off-camber sections with big elevation changes. 130 feet of elevation change around this tiny 2.258 mile or 3.634 kilometer circuit. And like you said, Jackson, 13 corners here, 5 to the left, 8 to the right. So really a right-hand variant circuit as Daniel goes off, pushing just a little too hard. But that previous lap, he was able to find that purple lap time, a 136.428, bested JF. And a little bit of racing action going on before the race right now with 13 minutes left to go. JF being chased down by the number 61. I think that'll be Ali right behind him, chasing him down. And we got a whole pack of bumblebees out on circuit right now. And there's the elevation change that we're talking about. And it is quite undulating here at Mid-Ohio. Great circuit to be had for sure.
General reception for the MX-5 Cup is the on-track product. Don't get me wrong, phenomenal. But some of the loudest cars on track, if you've ever been to an IMSA weekend, as these cars, for safety reasons, are some of the only modern cars to not have mufflers. That's because several years back, we actually saw issues with guys getting a little bit too close to one another, and actually that being a fire hazard with how much guys are using the bumper and pushing the exhaust pipe in. So no sound restriction for these four bangers, and that's led to this group, as you mentioned, Sagar, literally being called the Beehive. We had one car off there into turn number 3. Not entirely sure who that is, but with just under 12 minutes to go, it's Andrew over Daniel. And I'll tell you what, Sagar, with a quarter-second difference, and this being just about a 2.5-mile circuit, that is an eternity in time difference.
Absolutely. It is an eternity for the time. When you're talking about time, it's a percentage of that delta of that fastest lap time, and that is a big variance that we're seeing right now across the grid. Some drivers obviously a little bit more comfortable than others around this tight and twisty circuit, but perfectly suited for these MX-5 Bumblebees. Josh F with a purple sector 1 right now. He is out there looking to improve that lap time. Let's see if we can go on board with Josh and see what he's really doing with the wheel of that vehicle. Talk us through a lap here, Jackson.
Through the eyes of the Pennzoil machine, working our way down the back straightaway towards China Beach. This is where Simon Pagenaud had his scary incident. I'm actually looking on track where our leader is right now, excuse me. Working our way through the S's here as we work our way. Oh, a little bit too much on the grass, and around goes Josh F, and will immediately teleport us back to pits. Let's try and find someone a little bit closer to the start-finish line. Here's Daniel working his way out of the carousel, and let's try riding on board with the driver of the 70 as he works his way up into P2. Turn number 1, square left hander. Have to be so careful with cars coming out of the pits. We won't have that issue tonight with these only being 20-minute sprints. Long run here into the hairpin, the long 180-degree right-hander, the keyhole. And if you carry all of that momentum out of turn 1, this is going to be a prime overtaking opportunity. Working our way out of turn number 2. This is where we see the start-restart zone. In real life, since it's standing starts, we'll do it just in front of the pit lane. But this is the longest straightaway we have on track, speeds reaching over 180 kilometers an hour as we work down towards China Beach into the tough, challenging braking zone of turn number 4. Use all of that camber to your advantage, but be so careful balancing your way on the pedals as the car wants to step out through the undulations of this track under the Honda bridge. Daniel carrying a little bit too much speed there as we work our way out of turn number 8 and into Thunder Valley, trying to get as much as possible out of these Cooper tires. Outside of turn number 9 can catch you up guard. It tightens so quick, and you got to be so on top of it to make sure you don't invalidate your lap. Get very, very close there to the Armco barrier on the inside of turn number 10 as we work our way into the long right-hander of the carousel. Prime opportunity to set up an overtake, and with a little bit of aggression, you can potentially make a move to end a lap here in Lexington.
Amazing job narrating that on-lap view with Daniel. He's sitting in P2 right now, 0.3 of a second behind Andrew. JF in third, David, Andreas, Lee, Bradley, Hayden, and Ali finds himself with a 1:36.922 on that previous lap. The number 61 doing pretty well there, and finding a nice 1 second gap between himself and the aliens up at the front of the grid. This is very tight and spicy. Has the championship always been this spicy, Jackson?
It's gotten narrow in the past couple of weeks, with Ali standing on the podium twice, round 3 and round 1. And he'll try to run it back again here to begin the middle rounds. And we talk about unlocking pace at a place like Mid-Ohio, and again, it always feels like you want to find that perfect middle ground with these MX-5 Cups. Yes, dirty air isn't as much of a factor as you might think initially, but if there's something that's producing downforce, it can produce dirty air. And Ali is making the most of that clean air right now with the quickest first sector. Now, that being said, he did not get a lot of help down the back straightaway. And with that run from turns 2 to turn 4, you have almost half a mile of straightaway, and you need every bit of straight line speed as possible with, you know, just how little power these inline 4s are making. So You don't want to necessarily be running bumper to bumper with the guy in front of you, but having a little bit of space to the guy in front of you and maybe having a guy out in front punching a hole in the air, that might be helpful.
Big improvements for Ali, a 136.495. One of the things I absolutely love about these WOR drivers is that they keep on building up that pace of momentum. A driver that you're going to see at the bottom of the charts at the beginning of qualifying is slowly building up that pace and that confidence in their track, in that ability that they have within themselves to extract the most out of these cars, because the last thing they want to do is warp the pit lane, have to start all over again. These drivers do a great job of building up their pace, their confidence, and their abilities lap after lap, rather than risking it all for a one lap hot lap.
Really like that exit from Ali coming out of turn number 2. Arced it for a late apex, kind of swung it wide and tried to launch late to carry as much speed as possible. Here we go through China Beach. The Honda scoring pylon always acting as a landmark for us in the booth to remind us where these guys are on track. Left, right, left complex of the kink over the hill. And not the time improvement Ali's wanted so far. Doesn't have any help out there to really improve that time with one car just a little bit further up on track. Not enough to really help him with the straight line right now.
No, and he's slipping and sliding, possibly asking a little too much of these tires at this point in the qualifying session. Maybe it is time for him to come down pit road, get a new change of boots, and hit it all over again. David with a 136.412. Best Ali's time and bumps him back down into P4. And there's a 1 second gap between P1 and P6 right now. Jackson, how much is one lap pace going to mean a difference in these MX-5 when you're talking about close pack racing for about 20 minutes or so?
I'll tell you what, this is definitely eyebrow raising to see in qualifying only the top 5 or 6 within a second. Andres 1.1, so we'll count it. But I'll tell you what, the guys who are really going to have this figured out need to break away and get this figured out once you hit China Beach for the first time. Because you've got 2 phenomenal overtaking opportunities to start your lap with turn 1, the left-hander in the keyhole. And then you go down a super long back straightaway, technically a right-handed kink of turn number 3, and then another major braking zone into turn 4. So getting it right on the start is going to be absolutely paramount. Not getting too aggressive. As a wise man once said, you can't win a race in the first corner, but you can make yourself look like an idiot while doing it in the process. So I think it's going to be a key of finding the right aggression if you're in the mid-pack, but not taking too much on lap 1. Because again, 20 minutes, a lot of overtaking opportunities in this track. And if you've got a car in front of you, you're going to be able to work with them to get to the front.
Absolutely, because track position will be everything at a circuit like Mid-Ohio. The track is narrow, twisty. It only has one major passing zone, right? Turn 4 after the long back straightaway. This means qualifying well or gaining spots in the pits is going to be critical, but we really don't have a pit stop for drivers to take. If you take a pit stop, you're really just going to be out of this race. If we did have a pit stop, though, the undercut being very powerful here at Mid-Ohio, it can work well if you're stuck behind a slower car. New tires will give yourself lap time advantage as well. But of course, we're not seeing that here, and the tire compound choice not being a variant here is either. We're all running the hard compound tire. The track temperature is 35 degrees Celsius, 25 degrees is the ambient. The track is already at optimum grip, so we're not going to see too much overheating of these Cooper tires, will we?
And we're not going to see the track evolve too much either, as this place could not be packed in with much more rubber at this point. I want you to take a look at turn number 6 here. This is where we've seen a couple cars really make mistakes here as Ali Tokyo drifts that thing out of turn 6. So what is that telling me? That's telling me a lot of guys are pushing the limit in this middle sector. And we might see guys not necessarily going around Sauger, but I think we'll see some guys for sure losing time. It's not necessarily an overtaking opportunity on paper, but with guys over driving, the back end is going to step out. They're going to be losing pace, and that's going to give guys behind an opportunity to potentially like take a position in a spot that we're not really used to.
Very true, Jackson. Thank you very much. You have a lot of insight around Mid-Ohio, a track that I'm probably less familiar with, but the track we're going to next, Okayama, I think we've iRacing the heck out of that circuit.
Oh, yeah.
That being an iRacing staple, of course, but great to see it on Assetto Corsa. And it's going to do ourselves some pretty good justice because the MX-5, the Bumblebees buzzing around Okayama Piper will be a wonderful sight to see. And Josh F having a little bit of a moment here, not really gaining the slipstream. Now he tucks back in single file line. Down the back straightaway we go and into the following hairpin corner. The 72 trails the car in front, the number 7. I believe that's the number 7. Can't tell by
71, I think of Jacob.
71, there we go. Thank you very much, Jackson. That's why I upgraded you to 1080p. You have better eyes than I do with that youth of yours.
It's either 71 or 17, so it's either Jacob or, let's see, it might be Lee. We'll have to see. Totally gonna... We're already used to seeing, like, a swarm of MX-5 cars at Okayama, so I think our brain, we're gonna have to convince ourselves that this isn't iRacing.
100%. 100%.
But we'll have to wait and see. That was an interesting commitment there, though. Looking at JF trying to get around because he knew he was getting the advantage working out of the keyhole with the draft, but he looked to the inside because he knew he had the pace over the guy in front. And you can see him back out now. Yes, the guy in front might be a little bit slower, but he's trying to master that space here for his final lap where he's far enough where he's able to get to the bumper in the more tight and technical parts of this circuit. But come the back straightaway, that gap, they're going to be able to help each other and kind of bump draft down the back straightaway to make them both a little bit quicker. It's going to need a monster lap, though, to dethrone Andrew. A 135.737. I don't know if Josh is going to be able to find 4/10 in this thing.
Andrew concludes his qualifying attempt, but I was going to say one of my favorite things about watching MX-5 racing is the bump draft. Just pushing someone in front of you forward to go faster so that you can gain an advantage as well. That person will become your opponent here shortly, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and that's so true for these MX-5 cars when they race around tracks like Daytona and you see them go 2x2 Noah's Ark formation down the banking and just bump drafting each other. It is one of my favorite things to see, as it looks like a TG goes offline and Josh F goes forward. He's 3/10 down in sector 1. He's basically going to have to improve by 3/4 of a second, but Daniel does improve by at least 3/10, finds that time 6 thousandths away from Andrew up at the front, the tip of the spear. And JF has got his work cut out for him right now to try to improve this lap. Can he do it on the final run? Getting to the line, has a bit of a wiggle. Tank Slapper recovered, gets to the line. Where does he fall? Oh, just not quite there. 136.393. Won't even improve on his personal best. Ali up next.
It's like he just started his final lap, trying to figure out where he is on track here.
He should have concluded his lap.
The math is not mathing there, right, Sagar? Because the checkered flag's already flown for a significant amount of time.
Absolutely. He must have just left pit lane.
Look at the timer in the bottom right. He's on a 2-minute flyer right now, so that will be all she wrote. You look at the way we kind of interact on track with these qualifying sessions, it always feels like you've got one guy setting the pace early and someone else is able to challenge and either just at the buzzer be able to take that pole position away or at least find a little bit of that pace. And Andrew set the pace early once again. And Daniel, had it not been for, it could have been an inch later on the brakes or carrying just a little bit too much speed into a corner, he will be kicking himself to try and make up that pace. But he has got one of the best feet forward here for race number 5. Cars are coming to the grid and the lights are set to come on. Live lights on, and we are underway at Mid-Ohio for race number 5. Good start from Andrew to the inside. Ali looking to go middle there. in the Pennzoil machine, tries to make it 3 wide. It's the 72 of Josh F, who's trying to carry all of that momentum around the outside. He's done a great job of doing so. We've got Carnage further back, 1 car off. We'll go 2 abreast further back. Daniel trying to join in the mix on the outside as we head into the keyhole for the first time. Big dive to the inside on the brakes, and Josh F will lead them all as we head out of the keyhole into turn 1. Andrew gets turned.
Everybody else looking pretty clean right now, but those are some big gains for Josh F and Ali, working themselves up into P1, P2 off the start, going down in towards turn 1, seeing some 2 wide, 3 wide action here, and we've got 2 wide, 3 wide continuing heading into the back section of the track. A little bit of bumping and banging for good measure headed into the backside. The 71 makes out good, but Robert ends up falling back into 14th place already. Ahmad trickling backwards as well as he is battling it out, and there is more door banging galore. I think that's a little bit too much rubbing his racing for my liking.
Aiden getting the chrome horn, and he will sail off into China Beach as Ahmad tries to work forward now. Coming to the stripe for the first time as we work our way through the carousel. Nobody home for Josh F, who's already put a second gap over Ali, and Ahmad continuing to try and go forward. Try to move around the outside for Jacob. Goes all the way off into the marbles, into the final handful of corners. Robert will sail by as well, and that was just a little bit too ambitious there for Ahmad. Couple more shuffles, couple more peaks as we come across the line. Nobody making a move into turn 1.
And even a gap forming up at the front of the grid. Looks
ESC.
like a virtual safety car. Oh my God, this is so cool. I love the virtual safety car here with World of Racing. They've done an amazing job of making this such an interesting series and championship to watch because of this virtual safety car that'll allow the entire grid to get backed up together, and finally we'll see another race start. This is so cool and exciting.
So no more re-racking and re-stacking like we have the past handful of rounds when we did the championship earlier this year with the red flags. So we will be instead basically giving everybody a controlled pace, no actual safety car on track again, but enforcing everybody to have a certain speed. We'll keep the clock rolling. And once we head back to the stripe, the field will be in the control of Josh F to send him back to green. So again, this saves us time because we're not hitting reset 15 times, and it gives everybody a fighting chance once again.
Absolutely impeccable stuff. Love to see the VSC, not for those reasons, but love to see these race restarts for sure. This is going to be exciting. Coming out of the final corner, the leader will be in charge of the pack and dictating when he decides to go. Single file is the formation of the day, and you can see the drivers weaving their tires, trying to generate some heat in them as they're slowing down to speeds that they typically wouldn't be traveling at around Mid-Ohio.
You take a look at the real-life composure of the Whelen MX-5 series. Cautions breed cautions, especially at bump draft heavy tracks. Are we going to see the same here when we go back to green? Josh F puts the pedal to the metal. Already a peek to the inside from Ali, but checks up and gets back in line as Lee now tries to get to the party. Used a little bit of drafting help from Josh F as Ali starts to have a little bit of commitment issues. Back to green here with 15 minutes to go on the clock. We're nearly 3 wide as we head into the keyhole for the 3rd time. Lee trying to make that momentum work around the outside. He's already cleared Ali, but Ali in the 61, the beige machine, able to launch out of the apex of turn number 2. And as we head down the keyhole, it's bump drafting galore.
Absolutely amazing stuff. This is what we pay to see, folks. Side by side, headed down the back straightaway, and we're going to try to force it 3 wide. The 61 of Ali backs out of it at China Beach. The 23 does a little switchback galore, the outside line turning to the inside line, but the 61 manages to hold on around the long way. A little bit of door banging more for you, folks. And we head up the hill through the S's now, and they're still going to be side by side. And how much is this going to hurt them in the long run as the 23 gives a big old pincer move to the 61 of Ali. David on the outside line, and Daniel's trying to find a way through this chaos and carnage, saying, you guys need to hurry up and go because we got a race leader that is escaping our grasp right now. A little bit more racing behind also as we settle things down. Robert trying to find a way by Andreas and Vicente now. Can't find the daylight there. 138s trickling in, 139s for the battling combatants. The Bumblebee is out in front right now, and there goes Daniel again. He found his way past David, and now the 23 is battling with another beige 61 Mazda MX-5, and there is someone way off. That'll be Robert for sure, but we've got 3 wide situation coming down to the keyhole, and it's looking pretty neat and tidy up at the front. The beige MX-5 of Timothy is involved in this carnage, and he is, whoa, getting pushed off the track and up into the grass even with a hip check to boot.
Door to door as we work our way back across turn number 3, the right-handed kink. That's David in the 23 trying to take a peek to the inside, and I believe it is Ali out in front in third in the gray, or in the first 61, and then further back it is indeed Timothy, not to be confused with Tim G. As we continue to find the imposter, it's your guess is as good as ours to find out who the actual real Tim is. But great piece of driving so far from Daniel, who was able to slice through this entire 4-car pack and lead the best of the rest. A little bit of a peek further back from David. He tries to look to the inside as we head into Thunder Valley and into the carousel. Now looks to the inside, now outside of Ali, trying to make the long way around work, and chops the nose off this pair of 61s. We've seen a lot of aggression early on from David, and you can already see the damage that's caused. Josh F., Lee, and Daniel already significantly up ahead.
Yeah, this is an amazing pack battle that we're keeping an eye on. Let's switch over to Ali as he is looking for a way past David right now in the number 23, or is he going to give him the bump draft, the good old bump and run going into the keyhole? I don't think so. No touching there. And it's going to be nip and tuck, though, as Ali finds the gravel runoff. And there's no grass fault here like some of the British tracks. That is just straight up grass at the end of the racetrack. So you are losing traction, generating a lot of heat into those tires, and trying to regain the traction when you get back onto the black stuff, extremely difficult.
Field finally diluting to an extent here. Of course, the minute I say that, looks like we got a 3-pack just behind these two. That's Timothy on the inside in the 61, Bradley in that teal 29 trying to make it work around the outside. Flip scripts at the bottom of the hill, but Ali able to launch on the outside, gets a little bit of bumping help from Bradley there. The white and yellow 29 bumping and sliding through Thunder Valley. This is the MX-5 racing we have been waiting for, and Timothy still able to fend all of them off. Watch Vicente and the white and red 70. He's working his way into this mix as well. Andrew in the 62, waiting for the right opportunity to strike, goes to the inside of the carousel. If Andrew can hang on and roll all that momentum on the outside, it still won't be enough. We're side by side across the stripe for the 6th time. Ali trying to make that stick on the inside as we work our way back to turn number 1. But with the constant switchback, sliding, momentum changes, it's been difficult for anyone to find a line that actually works when you're going door to door.
Something has happened at the front of the field. The tip of the spear has changed up positions. Daniel and Lee inverting their positions. But we're going to keep our eye on Andrew as he shakes things up. and makes his way through the field up into 6th place after tumbling down the order and nearly last place before the VSC was called for this event, and he was able to take the restart. But now finding that number 62 at the front of the grid, almost into the top 5, just 2 seconds shy of it. He's done an amazing job of keeping his calm and his composure to basically rein things back in and really just stay focused.
We've seen some phenomenal drives from the back of the field from this man right here, Andrew, behind the wheel of the 62. This is the first time we've really seen him defend in an MX-5 Cup car. But Timothy right now has been struggling to keep him honest, and Bradley wants to fix that and try bringing the fight as well. You can see just how much he's able to carry that momentum, trail braking into turn 11. He has the pace, but Timothy in the 61 is assuring he doesn't have the space to clear him with 10 minutes to go, halfway home. And as we mentioned earlier on, Daniel overtaking Lee. He's already gaining ground between 2nd and 3rd, but nobody home for the time being for Josh F. 3.5 seconds up from the remainder of the field. Big slide from Bradley there coming out of 1.
Checking in a little further back with Jacob and Andreas and Hayden trailing behind. 71 leads the 29 over the 57. Andreas looking for a way past the number 71 out in front, going into the keyhole. Can't find the daylight there. Is trying to set things up. Coming out of the backside of the track. Now he's going to force a side-by-side maneuver and drag his legs all the way across the back straightaway and find the inside line potentially. Will he be able to make this one work to his advantage? Because we all know that the outside line turns into the inside for the following corner. He's got to be a full car length ahead to make this one work, and he basically gives the big squeeze over to that 71, but he manages to hang on. That is Jacob giving a big push back and saying, you want to play argy-bargy race action? I'll give you some argy-bargy. And the 29 finds a little bit of an advantage, slows down there. Hayden and Jacob now going after it and gets spun around. The number 71 does. A little bit of rubbing his racing went a little too far there as that MX-5 got a little squirrely coming right before Thunder Valley.
Hayden unfortunately using the chrome horn here as we go back over to David. He sets radar lock on Lee, trying to get onto the boxes for the first time since round 2. You got to remember, a disastrous handful of rounds at Laguna Seca in Barcelona. He's trying to put that in the rearview mirror and get himself back on the podium. Carries that momentum all the way around the outside of the keyhole. And we'll stay there. Gotta remember, so much camber at the end of turn number 4. Physics helping you out on the high side. If you're able to carry that speed, gravity is gonna help you stay glued to the ground. You have to take a longer line, but it's technically possible to make it work. Lee not giving an inch here, and we'll try to make it work on the inside. A little bit later on the anchors for the 23 of David, and we'll chop the nose off through China Beach. And just like that, David in the 23 makes a nuclear move around the outside to get himself onto the podium.
This might not be over yet. Ali is now charging up the field in 5th position, sees all this battling, licks his lips, says, I want a taste of this action as well. He's only about half a second back, Lee trailing a half a second as well. So things are about to get a little spicy for the best of the rest position, P3. But don't forget about this man right here, Andrew, the racing number 62, is 1 second back. Just 2 laps ago, he was a full second back. The man is showing you the pace and composure that he has to clinch back and climb his way into a podium points paying position. Let's take a look at these lap times. 136.1 to a 135.7. He's nearly 0.4 of a second in the pocket right now. We'll expect to see this change for the P3, over the next 2 laps if my math is mathing properly.
So cue the Jaws music here for Andrew, because just in a handful of laps, he's cleared Timothy and put a 4.5 second gap on him. He's not going to get any drafting help as we work our way out of the keyhole once again. Look at everybody defending here. Lee, Ollie, and Andrew. Everybody going to the right side of the racetrack, trying to minimize that drafting effect. Ali all over the rear bumper of Lee. Are we going to see a move here into turn number 3? Not quite yet. Was able to trail brake just a little bit more there and ran it high to potentially set up a move right here down China Beach in turn 6. Not making the move just yet. Lee feeling the pressure though, and Ali waiting for that one moment. He carries a little bit too much speed, a little bit too much pace, and is ready to make a move. But here's Andrew in the 62 in just a handful of corners, and with a little bit of help from the draft, he has worked his way right into the mix. Are we going to see a move through Thunder Valley? Able to jam that 62 side by side into turn number 11, but backed out of it.
Almost hisses the rear bumper of the 61 from Ali there. Backs out of it, quick footed on the brakes to apply that pressure. And I think we're going to see a little bit of bump drafting from Ali into Lee, giving him the hurry up and go, saying, you don't know this guy behind me, but he's awfully quick. Let's get the go on right now and quit this bickering between ourselves. Tries to go defensive on the inside line. Andrew behind tries to give the old bump and run as well. Follows in single file line behind Ali, just a little bit wide, gives the kiss of death to the number 71, enough to bump him out of line. Now they're door banging as he tries to run him off the road. The 71 giving Andrew the big old squeeze to the boxing position of Ali. Completely boxes it in, has nowhere left to go except for following the car in front of him right now. 71 and the 61 go side by side, but the 62 is saying, I want to get through you guys, not through you guys in a way that might be unfortunate for you as well. The 61 leads this charging duo, or trio I should say. 62 trying to find his way around the 71 right now, manages to go through the S's. 62 position secured for now. Now he's got Ali in front of him for P4. 3 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock. Still plenty of racing action left to come.
So Andrew able to plant and launch on the inside of 9. And we've seen some hard charging from the 62, but I'll tell you what, Lee is starting to look a little bit racy here. Already thinking about taking that spot back. Good exit from the 71. Any defense here from Andrew. He wants to stay to the high side and get that drafting help from Ali. That's why he didn't go low to defend through turn number 1. We look through the eyes of Lee in 6th. In just a handful of corners here, he went from P4 to losing 2 positions at the end of this straightaway a lap ago. He finds himself in the exact same spot Andrew was in. What's the strat going to be this time? Where is Andrew going to go if he's got the momentum? He goes to the left, but now goes back in line, trying to maximize that draft. Not quite within drafting distance is Lee in the 71. He'll try and close that gap and stay in line, hoping for a late move. Andrew still not making a move. I think he's using the bumper here to kind of try and gain a gap between those two. And P6, he doesn't want to give Lee an opportunity to strike back. That's why he didn't pop out.
Super interesting tactics here in the MX-5. Completely different than what you'd see in GT racing and things you can only dream of doing in open wheel racing, that's for sure, or things that'll end in tears if you're racing an open wheeler, I should say. These are amazing combatants here driving these MX-5s. 1 minute 40 seconds left on the clock. I think when the leader crosses the line, we'll get this lap plus 1 more, just nearly getting that one plus 1 more as JF crosses the line. 1:35 left on the clock.
And Josh F. Makes contact. Oh, big trouble. Andrew gets the chrome horn there, and Ollie in the 61 goes around. That is not the way we wanted that battle to end. And I guarantee you that's not the way Andrew wanted it to end either. It seemed like Ollie just getting a little bit too aggressive there. Got into the bumper of Andrew, and he actually spun out in the process. Lee able to snake on by and pick up the scraps. And the battle for 4th is still on, but only 2 remain as we work out of the keyhole.
Picking with Ali and Vicente again, the driver on the recovery right now after that spill coming out of the final one, gets past the 70, and the 70 is no more, has a slip and slide moment all of his own, but door to door, side to side, coming through China Beach, the 62 on the outside line, trying to pincer move on the 71, gives him the big old squeeze, and the 62 follows through and is able to make that one look easy.
Great defense from Andrew, immediately parks it on the apex, able to defend from the 51 of Lee. These two have been going at it for the past 10 minutes, but Andrew will be able to come out on top. And Josh F., who has not seen victory so far in Season 2 of the MX-5 Cup, will finally bring it home in first after a pair of top 3 finishes. Daniel will be able to bring it home in second, and your your championship points leader, David, in the 23, recovers, pushes, and shoves his way into a P3 finish. Great recovery drive from Andrew, who rolled off from pole, had some major carnage to start this one off, but recovers with a P4 finish. Timothy home in 6th. Ahmad, Ollie, Bradley, and Vicente rounding out your top 10.
Then Donovan, Hayden, Andreas, Robert. Is that the OGs? No, that's Tim G, excuse me. Jacob, Josh M, Mark, and Ray will round out the 19 drivers. 19 drivers taking part of this MX-5 championship. These are people that are physically showing up to a location to race against each other, driving these amazing rigs, full motion Sima Interglade rigs. I just cannot imagine seeing that in person. Jackson, talk us through what it's like to be at the World of Racing headquarters.
I actually got to test it this weekend for another stream we were doing with AK's friends at Init, was doing Formula 4 at Sonoma, and just decided to go in. Oh, a little bit of chrome horn there after the checkered flag. No, I mean, you compare it to what I've got at home, which is a beach chair and a Logitech G29, and it genuinely feels like flying first class after being in the back row your entire life. I think with enough practice, I could be able to match the pace. I think pace is easy. I think it's just a matter of consistency, because you get such a better understanding of what's going on with the car, what's happening beneath your seat, and you're just able to build on consistency, find little things about the car and the track you didn't understand, feel bumps and little in the track that you wouldn't initially feel if it was just off of your fingers. So it's super cool to test these Sigma Integrale systems. And if you are in Pasadena, Southern California, in OC or San Diego area with Tustin, in Kansas City, and now with our friends opening up their latest center in Phoenix, it is absolutely worth the trip to go and try it out yourself.
Absolutely true. And if I was closer, I'm waiting for World of Racing to pop their heads into San Jose or San Francisco to be a little bit closer to myself before I hop into a rig. But I am coming down to Southern California here shortly, and I would love to give it a whirl myself. Yodoc asks, where's the Goofy Goobers at this race? I'm not sure. One of my favorites as well. I haven't seen the Goobers at all recently, and I'd love to see them participate in this MX-5, but we will be seeing them on the 14th of September when we have the endurance race at Fuji as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And the information, I'm sure, is at worldofracing.com, where you can check out all of the locations that are available and check out all of their amazing equipment that they have for you to try out in person. It's a wonderful time. I can't wait to try it out myself. Eagerly looking forward to it. Will be one of the most amazing and spectacular sim racing experiences of my lifetime, to race against some people that I've been talking about for nearly a year now. Finally get to shake some hands, put some names to faces, faces to names, shake hands, kiss babies, the whole thing. I just expect to walk in there like a celebrity.
After doing that Saturday night, I might need you to rethink your expectations. It's all good.
Shoot.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. Hey, we are still super amped for the first event to feature Phoenix. That will be next Saturday for the 2.4 hours of Fuji, where we run the Ferrari 296 GT3s for 2 hours and change at Fuji Speedway. Going to be a good show, and we're going to step away for just a little bit as these guys in our SoCal centers gather their breaths and get set for qualifying here for round number 6 from Okayama. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back here in just a minute from the World of Racing. And we're back for week number 3 of the Fall MX-5 League. Jackson Lambros alongside Sagar Bakshi. Happy to have you with us. And we set Mid-Ohio in our rear view mirrors here, Sagar. We cross the Pacific, and we try to tell ourselves that this actually is not iRacing, and get ready for 20 minutes here at Okayama.
Absolutely iconic circuit. Okayama is got to be one of my favorite circuits, and it's going to be having some of its own tricky challenges as well. Okayama is 2.3 miles or 3.7 kilometers, founded in 1990 as TI Circuit Ada. Elevation change of 95 feet, located in Misaka, Okayama Prefecture in Japan. It's got 13 corners, 7 to the right, 6 to the left, and it's got amazing Formula One history to boot.
Hosted 2 races for the Formula One World Championship, the Pacific Grand Prix in 1994 and 1995, and with a very interesting heritage to it. Originally opened as a motorsports country club, kind of the first of the kind for Asia. Let's show you the kind of beauty that inspires trackside here for our 15-minute and change remaining qualifying session. And it's Daniel setting the pace early here with a 158.702.
Ali in second place, 1.6 off the good, but Daniel finds himself going off track a little bit. Andrew in P3 offering a little bit of a redemption run this time around after getting bumped in the rump early on in the race, sent down the back of the pack and climbed his way up into P4. Daniel into P1, Lee into P3 now. David up into P2, 148s for the leaders, 149 for the drivers behind.
So first opened, as we already heard from Sagar, TI Circuit Ida by golf magnate Hajime Tanaka. Kind of wanted to do a luxury motorsport playground, if you will, for kind of the affluent in Japan, give high performance driving a country club approach to it. Tanaka financed construction, sold off some of his golf courses to do it. And the issue was, by the time Formula One came around, they realized issues. This is kind of in a remote part of Osaka, surrounded by mountains, some limited access roads to get here, like a lot of the racing circuits we see in America, to be honest. But it was a logistical nightmare. Organizers had to kind of use fleets of buses to really get this done, and by the time the Kobe earthquake came around, it ended up switching ownership and became the Okayama International Circuit we know and love in 2005. So never fully got that motorsports country club treatment we initially thought. But you look at Thermal Club, Utah Motorsports Complex, which we actually visited last season in these very cars, could have been the start of something very, very real, and something that became very prominent in the world of racing. Pun so not intended there, by the way, in the following 20 years or so.
But this is a favorite track among some series such as Super GT, Super Formula, host Super GT, Super Formula, and Super Taikyu, making an essential part of the Japanese motorsports. Let's talk about some of the tips and tricks for the drivers in case they're out there listening live to us. Sim racing tips for passing at Okayama: use the slipstream, effective before turn 1 and turn 8, forcing mistakes out of your opponents, but pressuring them deep into braking zones. Be patient with limited passing spots. Setting up moves 1 or 2 corners in advance is key. Some of the top overtaking zones are going to be turn 1, turn 5, turn 7, turn 10, and turn 13, the final corner, the right-hander.
Josh M. at full song here into the first corner. And let's ride on board here with Timothy in the 23 to show us what a lap around Okayama is like at pace into what is literally called the first corner. No fancy nickname. The nickname literally is the first corner. Kind of a mirroring sweeper to the left here. This is Williams in turn 2. If you can't get it done in turn 1, you can make it stick on the outside and maybe get it done by the time you reach the Moss S's. This is turn 3 we're working our way to. Atwood curve, interesting, very tight opening to it. But the hairpin kind of widens out and flattens out, letting you launch, hugging the inside, and giving you a really good opportunity to roll that momentum all the way up and set yourself up for a prime overtaking opportunity here on the other half. Working our way down the longest straightaway on the track here. as we work down the hill, asking as much as possible from the grip on the front. BF Goderinch is another prime overtaking spot as we work our way out of the hairpin. Pair of 90-degree left-handers to follow. Track gets really tight here through Revolver and Piper. You can see Timothy not challenging the track limits, but respecting and using it just a smidge there, using all of the curbing and concrete runoff on the right-hand side. Another tight and technical part here as we get into the third sector. This is Redman, another pair of hairpins here. Again, that's the quality of Okayama. If you are doing one tight corner, there's a very good chance you're going to get the same thing the opposite direction just a little bit later. Mike Knight corner in turn 10, and the creatively named last corner is a pair of 90-degree left-handers to end our lap here at Okayama.
Beautiful narration there again from Jackson Lambros. Yes, you're very welcome. But Andrew now with 9 thousandths away from Daniel at the tip of the spear. P1 and P2 separated by less than a tenth of a second. That is unbelievable. And we're about to have a third combatant as JF finds it third place, and he is half a second away from Daniel's time. David up there with half a second away, and Lee 1.1 second off the good. And I expect with 11 minutes left of this qualifying session, we're bound to see a few more drivers trickle their way up towards the tippy top of the timing tower.
So what stands out here, Sagar, is Daniel has really got it fired up here with 2 purple sectors. Overtaking is going to be a lot different here compared to what we just saw at Mid-O. Looks to the inside here to overtake one car that's a little bit off pace. It's such a more flat track compared to Mid-Ohio. Sure, you've got a little bit of elevation change. We see that downhill going into the hairpin, but it's a lot less high-speed corners, a lot more tight and technical areas. It's going to be very reminiscent of the short track racing we've ironically seen these MX-5 cars do in real life at Martinsville. I'm not saying it's going to be mandatory to use the front bumper to move guys out of the way. You've got 2 very, very good opportunities to get overtakes done into the first corner as well as the hairpin. But you've got some really tight technical areas that are going to inspire some brave, bold moves and maybe some late lunges to the inside here, especially Atwood. If someone gets a poor run out of here coming into turn number 4, we're going to see some guys really trying to make things stick and throw cars where the sun doesn't shine.
100% keys to overtaking here at Okayama. Going into turn 1 is getting a good exit out of the final corner, turn 13, using slipstream to outbrake your opponent going down and towards turn 1 with a medium risk factor. Going into turn 5, the right-hander, heavy braking zone after the fast turn 4. Late braking up the inside will probably work out well for you. Atwood curve, the right-hander, forcing the driver ahead into a wide entry. So using some creative maneuvers and some mind games is the key there. Turn 10, hairpin before Mike Knight corner. A dive to the inside is going to be your best bet, and controlling the exit to defend into turn 11. Again, risk factor is going to be medium to high there. And into the final corner, the right-hander, this is going to be medium to high risk also. The driver ahead goes defensive, try an outside line and cut back for a better run onto the straightaway into towards turn 1. And that leads us back into that turn 1 entry conversation all over again, folks.
So someone we haven't really talked about as Daniel coming to the line, trying to add a little bit more of a buffer to Andrew, will not do it this time. A 147.437. That fast sector 1 though is showing us that he's still got a little bit of pace somewhere in that 71. We haven't really talked about Josh F this time by, but your race 5 winner is already very quickly entering conversation here with his pace. He's got some slower traffic in front. That's the 7. It's either Bradley or Ahmad out in front. They're right next to each other on the leaderboard, so it's a little bit tough for us to figure out who's who there. But Josh F might be able to work his way to the front. It won't be this time, as this traffic in front has put him half a second off pace. Now he'll get him out of the way. But we've looked at Andrew versus Daniel fighting for the front row. If Josh F can put a clean one together here with 7.5 minutes to go, it is very possible we have a new name on the front row to start race number 6.
Doesn't really matter for Josh F. or Josh Ferrer, as we're told in chat. Thank you very much, JSM Media, and Tim G being Tim Gukin, or Tim Gawkin? Tim Gukin. I'm going to go with Gukin. Sounds better. Letting us know the names of the drivers. Thank you very much. But Josh started in 3rd place in the first heat anyways, and he found his way into 1st place to finish up the race. Do you really think it'll make that big of a difference, Jackson?
It feels like every time I talk with Mike when we go pre-race, it feels like you either want to be at the very back of the pack or at the tip of the spear when it comes to these race starts, because if you're in the middle, everyone's jostling, trying to make the most of their starting position. I feel like it's just so hard for these guys to coexist on track sometimes, especially in a circuit like this where it gets really, really narrow in certain parts. So it's going to be interesting to see. I know I'm not directly answering your question there, but we're going to have to, it really is just a matter of, this is a brand new circuit for a lot of these guys. Unless these guys have played iRacing, obviously. But this is a track car combo that's new to a lot of them, and they're going to have to kind of learn on the fly to coexist with one another on the track.
Tactfully avoided answering the question. Well done, Jackson Lambros. Well done. Andrew tops the charts, 147, 176, best over Daniel by 0.08 of a second. JF or Josh F in the number 60 that we're looking at right now, 0.3 off the good. Then we have David, 0.7 back. Then we have Lee, Bradley, Vicente, Donovan, Ali, and Ahmad into your top 10.
A bit of a shuffle further up ahead of David, as he is already 3rd up from his pace. Same for Ray here in the 61, almost a second gained here, as he's getting some significant draft help right in front. The 24 of Lee with a big slide there coming out of Redman. This is where we see the draft effect in, well, full effect.
Looks pretty nip and tuck here. All 3 drivers working together and not impeding each other right now. And they're going to come out of the final corner, aka the last corner, and trying to push it as far as you possibly can, but not doing that. Dipping a wheel off into the grass is going to be Ray, and that's definitely going to hurt their lap time a significant amount. Tim G is able to go up into 11th position off that lap, and he should be the driver right in front. Yes, trailing the number 60, who is going to be Jacob in 18th position right now. So Tim G will be catching up to Jacob here shortly, and let's see if he gets impeded or if he gives them the hurry up and go. The chrome bumper, as you so aptly put it, coming down the back straightaway. Nose to tail right now coming into Atwood Curve. And this is where the slipstream is really going to be advantageous to the number 24 behind. Tim G looking for an opportunity in this qualifying session. Dips out of the slipstream and puts a wheel well along the inside. Goes fully side by side. No side drafting here as he dips away a little further than not. Hard onto the brakes coming into the hairpin corner. And the 24 gets the move done for this qualifying session.
But again, this could potentially be an advantage to Jacob. Now he's got a faster car, clearly a faster car in the tighter, twisty sections. Jacob's going to be able to follow right in line. Maybe not that close if you're sliding like that, Jacob. But he's going to be able to learn that line of the guy in front of him, karting style, and then get that drafting help when they work back onto the main straightaway. So Jacob still getting some significant gains to his time this lap, even though he was pushed offline, is already getting the advantages from the guy in front. Back up to the front, by the way. Andrew continues to hold that pace. Lee with a big gain, bumps David down to 4th with a 5th place lap of 147. But Andrew with a little bit more cushion between himself and Daniel, not by much, 0.016, found another 8 thousandths in that car. And Daniel not going to need much to find his way back to the front. Tim G with a little bit of a mistake there coming out of the first corner. And just like that, Jacob will go back to in front of him.
Like you said, a little bit of a shakeup for the top 7 right now. Andrew, Daniel, Josh F, Ali, Lee, David, Andreas, and then Tim G will be your top 8, separated by 1.152 seconds. Track temperature is going to be 36 degrees Celsius, ambient of 25. Track is fully optimized, and we got a small 3 kilometers per hour crosswind coming across the driver's nose as we approach the hairpin corner. So nothing to shake a stick at, nothing that's going to give any of the drivers a huge advantage here at Okayama Piper. Andreas shakes things up a little bit deeper into P5. He goes with a 147, and Ahmad into P8 with a 148 flat. So we have 8 drivers within 1 second, and just outside the 1 second gap, we've got nearly 12 drivers participating in this hectic and chaotic race at Okayama.
A little bit closer to what we were expecting a couple minutes ago at Mid-Ohio, as this field is tight from first all the way back to 10th, basically being within a second. This whole field being within 2.5. Lee with gains of 147.613, leapfrogs Ali and Andres up into a P4 start. That's good enough for the outside of row 2. Vicente in the 62, a 148.278, finds his way into the top 10, just getting over Tim G. Improvement as well for David, not enough to overtake Andres for the time being. And for your championship leader, David, this is absolutely not what he wants right now. He's in maximum damage control right now, and he will have to work from the back, from the middle of the field here, to try and stop the bleeding if he cannot find any more pace in that car.
It'll look like the qualifying session will end status quo. 30 seconds left on the clock for us, folks. Let's check in with Donovan, as he will get the bonus lap, as well as the pair of drivers crossing the line right behind him. Donovan, can he improve when he crosses the line? 149.0 is all she wrote. That doesn't look like a valid lap for himself. Seeing if anybody else, as they cross the line, improves by any. Doesn't see any on the timing tower just yet. Jackson, thoughts, anticipations, predictions for the race?
Well, you look at the start of this race for Mid-Ohio, and it was Andrew and Daniel on the front row. Those two got a little bit too chummy with one another, and it was a recovery drive for both of them, trying to see how far they could work their way back to the point. Are we going to see the same there? Just at the last minute, though, Daniel able to take it away by 0.025 seconds over Andrew. We're not out of the woods yet, though, because Andrew is trying to claw his way back. He had the pace in the first sector, but a major issue at some point in the middle of this lap has put him 0.7 off of the pace. There must have had to have been some major incident there we didn't see, running a little bit wide or going a little bit late on the brakes. Was there anything to recover that time out of the final sector as he works to the line in the 87? 147.143, the time to beat. He's massively off pace. A 152.80 means that Daniel will be on pole. Josh coming to the line. This could be close as well. He gets pole at the buzzer. A 147.106. He's been lurking in the shadows all night long, and you can't count out Ali either. Fastest sector 1, but it's going to be difficult with a 0.063 off pace in that middle sector. Going to need a monster final set of corners to get this done. Through the final handful of corners is the 60 able to plant and launch that Kermit the Frog colored 60. The last car on track to come to the line. Is there any momentum forward for Ali? To the line, it won't be enough. But Josh, Daniel, and Andrew, your top 3, less than 1/10 of a second apart from one another.
Amazing job from Josh F. Dragging it to the line. 147.106 will be your pole position time. Then Daniel and Andrew, amazing qualifying run, and we're not even to the 15-minute race yet. This is going to be so exciting to see a repeat of what we saw earlier. Different track, same drivers, same thing, all over again. Jackson, I am so excited to watch these MX-5 Bumblebees race around Okayama Piper one more time.
And again, I think you look at the way these guys are finding the pace on this track, because again, a lot of these guys are learning on the fly. We saw Ali work his way from outside of the top 10 to P4. So a lot of these guys are slowly starting to unlock this pace. And as we get into this, 20-minute main event, you got to remember, a lot of these guys are still learning on the fly, and they'll have some really fast drivers in the form of Josh, Daniel, and Andrew to really learn from one another. It's all going to come down to, though, how much these guys want to coexist on this opening lap. Josh F on the inside, Daniel on the outside. Lights are coming on. Are we going to see another new winner, a fifth new winner in the Fall MX-5 League? Let's find out. Let's go racing at Okayama. Nip and tuck already, though. A great start from Josh, who tries to chop the nose off of Daniel as we work our way into the first corner for the first time. One car very wide there. I want to say Ali trying to keep it nip and tuck and get in line with the cars further behind. But it will still be Josh, Daniel, and Andrew, your top three, as we work our way through the Moss S for the first time.
Ahmad trying to find a way past Andreas now, going deep at Atwood Curve. Might be opportunistic for him this early on in the race before the tires have gotten up to temperature, and Josh seems to have tumbled and fallen down the order. Into sixth place he goes, out from the lead of the race at Atwood Curve. Something went wrong for him as he slips down the order. A little bit of rubbing racing going on up at the front. The 87 to the inside line on the 71, door banging galore there. The 87 pushes the 71 out just a little bit. Crisscross applesauce going for a switchback maneuver into Piper now. And will be the number 60 trying to hurry up and shove his way through as well.
Watch Lee further back in that orange 24. He's dropped back big time, actually, as he gets swallowed. Lee and Josh working their way through as well. Lee carrying that momentum as we work our way through Redman and Hobbs for the first time. We have stayed clean and green for this entire opening lap. Not the chaos we were unfortunately anxious about, but the racing so far has been phenomenal. And Lee has been able to fend off and only lose one spot at the opening of this race. It's been major losses, though, for Josh. He's gone from pole back down to fourth. We're 2x2 coming down the straight. Andres down low in the teal 29, trying to make a move in Ahmad in the 7. We're nearly 3 wide. We are 3 wide. Oh my goodness, Tim G on the outside. It's hard to call it with who's who in this mid-pack. Everybody jostling for position earlier on. But it will be Andres spearheading the best of the rest here, working our way into the Moss S's. Tim G thought about a move. Now we'll look to the outside as we work our way through the Atwood Curve. This is what we were talking about during qualifying, the ability to sneak and wait for the right opportunity to strike, poking out at the very last minute. And these guys have set up the ultimate opportunity to go 2x2 down the back straightaway.
2x2, a lot of slipstream to be had here. Coming down the back straightaway into the hairpin corner. The 24 tries to cover it off. That'll be Tim G, Vicente Andreas, and Bradley all going wheel to wheel right now. What amazing pack racing, and there is carnage, and I expect to see a VSC come out to allow the rest of the pack to catch back up to their main group. But for now, we're still green flag racing, I believe, as the 62 and the 07 try to duke things out amongst themselves. Headed down into the final couple corners of the track. The 07 to the inside line, slams on the brakes, dips his toe in the water, says yes, that's fine at Redman, and into Hobbs. He'll gain the lead. That's Bradley up into 7th position right now.
And Andrew able to snatch that lead away from Ollie. For the first time, he will be leading them across the stripe. A phenomenal qualifying performance at Mid-O. Did not see himself at the point. He finally gets himself there at Okayama, and he is happy to see Ali in trouble in his rearview mirrors as Daniel tries to put a move on it. 2 Kermit the Frogs around him, though. Ali out in front in the first 60, and then just a little bit further back, Josh F in P4. It's a 4-car breakaway out in front right now as they have a second, nearly a 2-second gap between Josh and David. Daniel trying to work around the outside here through Atwood Curve. Can he carry that momentum to the outside? He can, but immediately Josh able to strike and now peak down low. The two lime green 60s working with one another. A little bit of bump drafting to try and work themselves to the front of that white 71. 3 wide into the hairpin for the second time. This is amazing driving between all three of them. Daniel able to hold the middle for the time being, but what teamwork here from the 260s.
Really, really good looking driving from everybody so far. No VSE has been called, so clean driving from everybody that we can see out on the racetrack. I think the drivers have gotten more comfortable time and time again as they have gotten more progressive through the season, and they're just doing a phenomenal job of keeping the racecraft at such a high level and such equal machinery also. These MX-5s are not fully set up customizable, so you're really limited as far as what you can do. You're really just affecting the mechanical grip to your driving style to at some point or at some end of the margin or the other. And Andrew is already escaping 1.8 seconds up the road, and like you said earlier, he's just licking his lips saying, yeah, you guys squabble it out behind me. I'm just going to escape up the road by 2 seconds on the third lap of asking.
So you got to be very curious now about what the strat is going to be between these three, Josh, Daniel, and Ali. Are they going to continue to battle the way we saw them a lap ago, or are we going to see the aggression kind of start to turn back a little bit? Doesn't look like Vicente is holding anything back here through the Moss S's. Looks to the inside of Bradley in the white and teal 7, backs out of it into the Atwood Curve. You can tell by how quickly he's trail braking right now. He is doing everything he can to find a piece of real estate to get around that 7 car.
Now he is about 0.3 of a second back. Let's check in with Ahmad, who is nearly alongside his combatant right now. That'll be Timothy alongside him in the purple number 23. And he is fully alongside, headed down and towards the hairpin corner. And he is going to file in single file line here at Okayama for the hairpin corner. Back over to the lead. Daniel, Josh getting awfully close to each other right now. Up front, battle for P2 is very much still on. And the battle for P3 very much in contention as the 60 of Ali tries to throw his ring in as well.
But again, notice everybody single file for the time being. They're using the bumpers on one another. They're trying to maximize the straight line speed that they all can use with one another. As we head down the back straightaway, this isn't long enough where we're going to see guys banging off the limiter in top gear. So pushing off one another is going to help reach to that red line limit. Andrew continuing to put a gap now. What's it looking like at the end of lap 4? Still 1.8, so it's been damage control here. And 1 car off. Josh maybe got a little bit too much bumper there from Daniel out in front. That makes things a little bit easier, though, for Daniel and Ali. Those guys just need to make it a 2-car pack and make it kind of a co-op with one another if they want any hope of closing that gap.
And that opened things up for Andrew to 2.4 seconds. Like you're saying, Jackson, they definitely need to work together. Josh getting thrown out of the mix now, down into P5. Again, climbing his way up the order is going to be a huge obstacle to overcome. Not once, but the second time of asking. That is detrimental to his championship standings and even his morale, as he just came back off of a huge win that he needed.
Taking a look at the championship standings, it's been 2 third-place finishes as the highlight so far for Ali, as he's looking for a 3rd time on the bottom spot of the podium. And Daniel, exactly in the spot he wants to be as well. Again, runner-up in the championship right now, but looking at where your leader is, David, he's well back into the mix right now in 4th. There he is. You just see him into view now behind Josh in that bright orange number 36. There he is, working through Redman. He's now fending off from Josh. He's got no intentions to work on closing this gap right now. He's in damage control with Josh F. right behind. But it's been a good recovery drive from David, who rolled off, I believe, in P7 and has already gained 3 positions at the hole spot. Hole shot, a little bit of a look to the inside from Josh through the first corner. And I don't think Josh wants to sit around and wait. I think he knows he's got a little bit more pace in that car than the guy in front of him.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the gaps right now, or the progression that people have made so far. Andrew's up 2, Ali is up 1, David up 3 from where he started. So absolutely right. Started in 7th, worked his way up to 4th. Josh from behind is down 4 positions. Lee's down 1. Bradley up 4. Big loser right now is going to be Andreas, who's down 10 positions off the grid. Started in 6th, now down into 16th after an earlier bump and run, leading down in towards the hairpin.
Brad and Timothy, your biggest movers, though, up 4 positions respectively. And David still trying to defend right now from Josh. Again, it's been a challenging handful of races here for David since the going back-to-back to open up the fall league. A P5 in round 3 and a P7 in round 4. Got back on the podium last race, but he's got a very big roadblock, a very big gap to close in front of him, and a very eager driver behind him if he wants any chance at the podium. Does he try and self-service this, or does he maybe let Josh go through and can learn from the guy in front?
I don't think Josh needs any explanation on how to drive Okayama Piper with the lap time that he was able to set in the qualifying run. I think he's just focusing forward right now and trying to manage the damage that he's incurred, as well as the damage that the tires have incurred throughout this event. Good thing that we don't have the same tire model or the gravel that iRacing provides us with here in Assetto Corsa. Otherwise, we'd see kitty litter all over the asphalt right now. Thankfully, it's nice and clean for all of the drivers. Tim tumbling down the order. Let's see what happened there. Ooh, that is a lot of rear end damage to the number 24. And he is stuck in traffic right now as Hayden finds his way by. But they're going to duke it out side by side, headed towards Atwood, it looks like, through the Moss S as we go. Up and over the curbs, onto the grass. A little bit of a hip check there. Onto the brakes for Atwood corner. And the 24 goes so deep and wide. The 58 gets an excellent switchback. Saw that one coming from a mile away. But now he's going to move over to the inside line, headed down the back straightaway into the hairpin corner. They're still going to remain side by side. Ahmad and Timothy inverting their positions for just a moment. And Tim and Hayden getting involved in some argy-bargy race action, headed down towards the hairpin. Looks like the number 24 has it done and dusted, leaving the 58 wondering what happened behind.
I like this a lot. If we're not going to have a shot at a top 10 right now, we're already so far behind. Why not battle behind, or why not battle with one another and learn? Oh my goodness, Hayden and Ray both sliding on the exit there. Oh my goodness, somehow, some way, both of those drivers able to hang on to it, heading out of Piper. And as we head into Redmond and Hobbs, Daniel is going to lose that spot, I believe, or excuse me, Ray is going to lose that spot to Andres just a little bit further ahead. Was such a great start for Andres in the 29. Must have had an issue there for some incident that we didn't see. He's trying to pick up the scraps here from P14.
Like you described earlier on in the race details, Jackson, a lot different than Mid-Ohio, and the racecraft is definitely showing us that this is a different race track than what we just watched, and the drivers having to mentally wrap their heads around Okayama Piper and making these overtakes happen. We're definitely seeing everybody fall into their rhythm and their category of skill a little bit quicker now. It's about 6 minutes remaining left in this event, and I think all the drivers are right where they should be as far as pace, barring Josh not quite where he wanted to be up at the front of the field, as Ray sends it into Atwood curve, has a little bit of a drifto moment, but recovers pretty nicely through Atwood.
I think it's also important to remember this is a lot more of a technical course
True.
than Mid-Ohio. You look at Revolver, Piper, Redmond and Hobbs, all of these very slow corners. It's not flowy in banking, inducing like what we saw at Mid-Ohio. It's a lot of stop-go. You got to be so careful working your way back on it to the throttle. Yes, it does. These MX-5 cars do not make a lot of horsepower, no more than about 180. But these BF Goodwrench tires to allow rotation, you can see how skinny they are on the back of this car. They are not taking a lot of that power well. So you do have to be gentle. You definitely can't chuck it into the corners and not counter steer. It's going to be spin out city if you are not careful.
Headed back over to the booth for just a moment as we lost connection with the server. Stand by, folks.
Back here in the World of Racing Global Broadcast Center, and it appears we might have had some kind of issue. The server itself might have shut down, and we're back.
If it isn't live TV for you folks,
it adds personality. It adds personality. The scuff always adds personality. Josh F from third, trying to recover his way right now to David. Everybody kind of in the top 5. I was not expecting. Kind of drafting distance with one another. Not being the same for Andres. He's lost P13 to Hayden. He's slowly but surely working his way back into that spot. Just a little bit further up is that battle bruised 24 Tim G. And if these two keep going, or these three keep going at the pace they are, this is going to be a 3-car battle for P12 come the end of this race. You can see the damage here on all of these rear bumpers.
And Josh is just outside of that slipstream range for a set of course. So right around the half-second mark is where you want to be for the slipstream to become super effective in these MX-5 Cup cars. But he's just sitting outside of that barrier, sitting in the dirty air as Andreas goes for a move on Hayden around the outside at Hobbs. Amazing overtaking opportunity, went for it, slicked the stamp, sent it, and made it stick. Hayden on the inside line had a bit of an oversteer moment, had to correct, bite the bullet, and he is worse for wear right now, tumbling back.
I think that might have been just an issue as well with not being in the right gear to fully get back up to full song. And I think it is also very important for us to mention that the newer MX-5 Cups have made the switch over to 6 sequentials instead of being a 2015 release. Still models these as being the H-Box, but again, these guys are running paddles, so it's a simulated manual, but not really. It's automatic shifting, but not really. So the shifts are a little bit slower than you'd expect in the modern, fully upgraded MX-5 cars. But again, just a little bit of a thing that adds the quality here. As Josh F. is looking a little bit closer here to David.
Very true about the H-pattern gearboxes that the drivers are facing right now. You can see the Rosetta Corsa driver's hands move over on the right-hand side and adjust that gearbox ever so slightly, taking one hand completely off the wheel to shift that H-pattern shifter versus the new floppy paddles or sequential gearboxes. My mind escaped me for a moment, but Josh F is 6/10 away, closer than he's been in a long time right now, but slipping away out of the final corner is not going to help him. He's 7/10 down right now and 1/10 off the good as far as lap pace is concerned. Josh F trying to find his points paying position that he desperately wanted, P1, but it just might not happen here with only 1:35 left on the clock.
This is frustrating behind the wheel because you know you're giving it everything behind the wheel, but you're just not within striking distance. And it's a combination of dirty air, these tires starting to run out of life after 10 laps straight of banging and beating. And you're doing everything you can and just hoping that you're still within striking distance when you get to the straightaway. Josh F has not given up at this point. David hasn't either. He's still about a second back from Ali. And it's not impossible to see these guys get to the podium, but it's going to take a little bit of luck and maybe a mistake from one of these guys to make it happen, Sawyer.
Very true. Ali finding the points that he desperately wants to hold on to. P3, he is a consistent driver through and through. I always find him at the front of the field somehow, some way. Top 5 finisher usually is a safe bet for Ali in my books. But for now, he has done a great job of recovering from where he started this race into where he might finish this race. 22 seconds left on the clock when the drivers cross the line. It will be a bonus lap for sure for all of these drivers when we get to the line. Andrew leads Daniel by 0.8 of a second. We haven't even mentioned that. The gap is coming down by 0.2 lap after lap from Andrew to Daniel. Barring any mistakes from Andrew, though, Daniel is there ready to take a bite out of the big blue whale that is Andrew.
20-minute sprint race, but you still got to treat it like a marathon at times. These tires do not last forever. These parts break, bend, and can lose precious fractions of a second if you're on them just a little bit too hard at times. And they're banging and beating further back. Tim G alongside Hayden as they come across the line, literally going door to door. Oh my goodness. Tim G goes late on the brakes. Hayden wanted zero part of that. Knew what was potentially coming at the end of the first corner and got significantly off throttle and let Andres go by with him.
That was amazing. I love to see it, folks. Some good hard wheel-to-wheel action, but door bang that had to come to a conclusion. Hayden, like you said, completely backed out of that one, wanted nothing to do with that party. As we go to Atwood Curve, Andreas and Tim are still going to battle it out, but it's up to our leaders right now. Daniel within half a second of Andrew as we approach Redman and up the hill into Hobbs Corner.
Daniel has given everything he could to close this gap to Andrew. It's gone from a second to a half a second in this final lap, but it's been too little, too late. It won't be a recovery drive needed for the 87. Out of the final corner for the final time, going down low all the way to the pit wall to defend, and Andrew will fend off from Daniel for his first win since Laguna Seca. Further back, Ali able to bring it home in P3, nobody home from him. David barely able to fend off from Josh, and the field starts to get pretty spread out after that. Lee, Bradley, Vicente, Ahmad, and Timothy rounding out your top 10.
Then we have Donovan, Tim, and Andreas who are still duking it out as we get to the line. 1/10 of a gap separating the two drivers right now. Coming out of the last corner, the 24 mounts the curve, gets a little squirrely whirly. The 29 trails behind, but it's too little too late. 29 trying to move over the inside before we get to the start finish line, but it won't be enough. The 24 takes it over the 29, then the 58 of Hayden. Ray, Josh, Mark, Robert, and Jacob will round things out.
Some phenomenal driving here at Okayama Circuit, and Andrew, in the dominant fashion we're used to seeing when he's able to stay up front with little drama, has been able to fend off this entire pack, and a half a second genuinely in a racing series where we've seen the margins at Daytona and Road America be less than 1/100th of a second. Bringing that up to a half is nothing short of an eternity over Daniel and Ali. A phenomenal drive for Andrew in the 87, gets his second win of the season. Daniel in second with Ali in third. And we will calculate these points as we start to wrap this up. Should have a better championship picture as we head into the next weekend. Some other food for thoughts here. We will have a drop round as well. And with that involved right now going into this weekend, it's still David out in front. Josh, with some phenomenal driving as well, going to have a good opportunity to take the lead in this championship.
Let's head back over to the booth as we wrap things up for you folks. Stand by. And we are back with
here.
you in the broadcast booth, brought to you by AK Esports and World of Racing. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you very much for staying tuned. Thank you very much to all the chatters, JSM Media, Hey Mags, Lee Muse. Appreciate it so much for you guys to be here and participate in all of the action that we had here. Brought to you by World of Racing. This was an amazing event. What was your highlight of the event, Jackson?
I think watching Andrews drive from the back of the field really stood out. You had two really fast guys on the front row getting a little bit fangs out at Mid-O, and seeing them kind of be forced to work with each other to get to the front was a really cool sight to see. But seeing Josh F., who's kind of had this entire season, ran as an underdog, to really see him step into the limelight was really cool. And again, he is not out of this championship fight at all. We could see him leading.
Yeah, absolutely true. Watching Josh F. take his first win here with World of Racing was a true pleasure to see. Reminds me of my first win ever as well. So that was great to see, especially in a league race. That's always one that you'll remember for your lifetime and your sim racing career. It's definitely one to pat yourself on the shoulder for. So congratulations to Josh F. tonight. Unfortunately, it did not go your way for race 2 or heat 2 tonight, but there's still a long championship run left to go. Jackson, where are we headed to next?
Well, if you're not thirsty for just MX-5 racing, we are off to Fuji for the 2.4 hours next Saturday. But after that, we are bound for Barber Motorsports Park as we head to Sweet Home, Alabama, and then go over to España for our second round at Vallelunga. That will be Wednesday, November 5th. As again, we usually get this done first of every other month. So going to be a really fun combination of tracks there. It's time for us to say goodbye and close the book here on this week as we now look to Fuji and to Barber Motorsports Park. Thank you guys so much for watching, whether you've been trackside, center side, I should say, or watching at home. For everyone at World of Racing and AK Esports alongside Sagar Bakshi, I'm Jackson Lambros. Thanks again so much for watching, and so long for now from the World of Racing.